Hello, and welcome to the Saxton Speakers Bureau Series 1, Episode 3 of Meet the Author. Today, my guest is Dr. Jordan Nguyen, author of A Human's Guide to the Future. Jordy is a biochemical engineer, biomedical engineer, a thinker, an entrepreneur, a thought leader. He describes himself as a thinker with endless curiosity, an engineer who has moved through electronics, mechatronics, software, and biomedical design and development, a future dreamer, an inventor, an innovator, an author, TV documentary creator, and presenter, a tennis player, an adventure-seeking people person, car singing, always dancing, pasta loving, vision pursuing, family oriented, stargazing, art admiring, knowledge consuming, problem solving, mostly laughing, sometimes curled up and crying, life loving, crazy haired, empathy filled giant kid. But above all, he considers himself to be an everyday human who has taken big leaps to live his dreams and visions. He continues to work towards making the changes he wants to see in the world, and he challenges us to do the same. Please welcome Dr. Jordan Nguyen. Now I can see you.
Yeah.
So, I loved your book. Loved it.
Oh, great. Oh, that's really nice to hear.
And I can't believe it's taken me this long to read it.
That's right.
But one of the things that I really loved is just your whole attitude towards technology and like demystifying so much of it, especially. So what I want to focus on, because we only have 20 minutes, is artificial intelligence. Like that just blew me away. And I'm just wondering, I wanted to hear from you the different types of it. You know how you go into the different types of AI?
Yep.
And then you take us through the journey, and then the last one, like, I just feel like everyone should know that story.
Sounds good. Absolutely. Well, firstly, artificial intelligence as a term has been around since 1956. I go into a bit of the past in the book, and this is something that's not often known because it seems quite new to a lot of people, and it's because it's new in the public domain. What happened was we had all these rises and falls over the decades, and I got to be exposed to it from a young age because my father was building AI into robots, but he was also building AI for other applications, like being able to do things like handwrite and then convert that through a camera onto a computer so that it could actually figure out what his handwriting was doing. But he was designing this in the early 90s. And that was during the second AI winter, as it was called, where it was very difficult to get papers over the line. So I ended up moving into it going into university because this was something that I'd grown up with. I was interested in both AI and robotics and could see it had a future. So when it comes to the different types of artificial intelligence, there's many, many different types, as you mentioned. And what we start with is machine learning. Machine learning is the main type you hear of quite often. You'll hear even a lot of companies say AI and machine learning, which is kind of funny because machine learning is a subset. It's one type of artificial intelligence. It just happens to be the main type that most applications tend to use. Now, machine learning is very good at finding patterns and differences in data. That's basically it. So then it comes down to how much data you have, how good that data is, and what you're trying to gain insight into. An example I used it for in the past was to pick up on brainwaves from individuals to control a wheelchair, and the brainwaves just come through as these sort of scribbles, so I can't tell the difference between them. But what happens is if I collect enough data of people focusing on specific thoughts to control something like a wheelchair, well, then I can start to class out that data to say they're thinking of thought pattern 1, doesn't matter what it is, thought pattern 2, thought pattern 3, lots of different pieces of data. The AI can start to find patterns and differences so that eventually you get to the point where it knows that you're triggering a response. So that's machine learning. Then another major type, and I would say the second major type that we'd come across fairly frequently, is natural language processing. And this is where you're able to speak to an artificial intelligence. So your voice gets digitized, it goes through as a waveform, natural language processing can take out the words that you're saying and then convert that into some sort of understanding of what you're saying, what the reference might be, and even the context. And this is what happens when you speak to Siri or any sort of voice assistant on your phone. It tends to go through a natural language processor. So these are the main types, and between these two types, and there's many others that we don't need to go into at this stage, but between these main types, you can do so much. You can build intelligent systems, you can build robots that can have interactions, and you can build new types of medical devices, all the way through to ideas like conservation for animals, being able to set up cameras out in protected areas, out in different environments that can automatically detect what they're seeing, what type of animal they're seeing. And I've even seen this through to the point where the AI can detect each individual tiger based on their stripes in a protected area. So it's incredible, the power of this technology. It's the technology to rule all technologies, and it's going to be based on how we choose to use it. So it's going to take a lot of imagination and a lot of planning ahead as to the impacts that this could have, both positive and negative, but there are a lot of opportunities coming for this type of tech.
That's the thing, Jordy. Your book is all positive. Like there's things that you point out that are a little bit scary, but then most of it is it's okay if we just remain conscious of how we're using it. You say here, instead of thinking of AI as a threat, if we see it as a powerful tool, perhaps even something of a human-made profit fueled by data, then we could use it to plan long-term ways for humanity to flourish. Do you remember writing that?
Absolutely, I do. The idea of me saying it's kind of almost a profit is based on those massive amounts of data that we're generating. Data can be utilized to train artificial intelligence. It can find patterns in it, but that doesn't sound like much until you realize the applications for it. And if we could do something like an example, that whole idea of being able to take it to the next level. If you wanted to, say, build a new type of rocket, and we get a little bit down the track where AI can pull context from many different types of areas and start to find links between them as it moves towards general intelligence from the narrow band that it's in. Currently, it's narrow because you get it to learn specific things, like I was with brainwaves. It wasn't learning how to read a book or do anything else. It was just learning that one task. Whereas we are a general intelligence. We can take links between seemingly unlinked things and start to find that creativity, that ability to see patterns and differences on a whole different level. But if artificial intelligence starts to get towards that general space, then what it gives us the opportunity to do is to feed it challenges to solve, and it could go through all designs, everything out there in the internet, every design in human history, and find new links, new patterns, and give those to us as potentially being like a profit.
It's amazing. It's so cool.
But it's a powerful tool. That's it. It's what we've got to see it as. It's a tool. It comes down to our creativity and how we choose to use it.
Yeah.
And this is why you pointed out I'm optimistic. I am, because I realize I need to be. Every technology has a dark side, and those things are easy to see. And this is what science fiction gives us, those dystopic depictions of the future. But what we need to be able to do as a human species that's trying to save itself, save the planet that we all call home, we need to be able to be positive and look for the opportunities. How can we improve the world? How can we improve quality of life, improve the environment? And when we're coming up with those really big ideas, because the challenges are getting bigger, well, we've got these powerful tools that we can harness, and that's what we've got to see it as. They're powerful tools.
So your book, A Human's Guide to Future, was published in 2020.
That's right.
Correct?
Yep.
So,
September 2020, end of September.
How much has changed since this book was written?
See, this is a really good, actually, this is a really good question. So what has happened since the book is advancements in the line of the likes of the Metaverse, the likes of avatar technology. But the good thing was, this is something that my father has, I guess, given me the ability to do. He's imparted this to me over the years, is that ability to take those projections and look forward, what's coming next. And the way that we do that is kind of similar to a lot of science fiction authors and what you see in the movies. They often take many steps forward on a trajectory that we might be on in the likes of science or technology, and they go, okay, assuming these things happened, let's start here with the story and move forward. So I do a very similar thing with the real world of technology. I take ideas that I think are going to, well, I come up with ideas, but I look at the tools that are out there, and then I project forward as to what's going to be created next. So I sometimes build projects where not all the technology has yet been created or released, but I know it's going to be. I'm pretty certain it's going to be. An example being in the whole avatars section, moving beyond extended reality. Since the book, the Metaverse, started becoming a hot topic of conversation, I talk all about it. I just don't mention it as being the Metaverse because that was a term that has come up since then. Things move very quickly. It's a term that the term has been around for a while longer, but it's really been taken to by the public a lot more recently. And really, this is a combination of a lot of these technologies I'm talking about in the book starting to come together. And really, it's only been going along the trajectory that I was foreseeing and discussing in the book. So technologies like avatars have been moving with incredible pace, and they're just astoundingly real now, what you can do with them and what you can create. And it's almost unrecognizable to just 2 years ago. So it's pretty incredible how quickly things move, but this is what I wanted to do for the book. I didn't want it to be something that was going to burn out in a year's time. Instead, I took the ideas of the past, where we've been, and where we're going next, making predictions in the near future as well as the distant future. And a lot of these are based on my experience through seeing a lot of these different technologies, how they're utilised, the projects around the world, and how I would choose to steer them as well. So trying to get everyone on board with that journey, because of this fast rate of change, these discussions are very important. Knowing that these things exist mean that we can all have a say in where it's all going.
I love how you do give the history. It just makes it made me realize that this has been going on for a long time. And I thought artificial intelligence was something that just happened a year ago or something. Yeah. So the history and the previous artificial, like, it's just amazing. What are you most concerned about when it comes to technology and humans?
It's a good question. What I'm most concerned about is really the potential dark side use of a lot of the technologies, the negative impacts that they can have on us, and really almost every pathway you could think of has been thought of and put into science fiction in a lot of cases. If you watch Black Mirror, that's a great series that goes into a lot of the individual technologies, their trajectories, and then finds the dark side of them. So really, although it tends to be a bit worrying as to where it could go, and the likes of artificial intelligence, being able to go into these dark sides, at the same time, the world is facing challenges it's never seen before. We're at this critical juncture where we need to be able to work together. We need to be able to collaborate towards a better future, and we have to be able to harness a lot of these big tools that can get us there. So to me, I don't dwell too much on the fear or the negative sides, because I know that we can shape that change. So instead, I look to the positives, and I don't do it blindly. As you can see in the book, I do mention the potential dark sides, example being with artificial intelligence towards that technological singularity. At that point, it either gets really, really bad for us, or it can get really, really good. And that's going to come down to our planning, the way that we speak about it, the way that we communicate, and how we set about the ethics and the pathways, what we want and what we don't want. So this is why we can collectively shape that change, and that's what I challenge the readers to do.
And Jordy, what are you most proud of?
Oh, what am I most proud of? I would say this has come up in the book. Again, this is something that I wanted to put out there. Aside from all the technology, it's the fact that over time I grew a confidence in myself that I never used to have. I didn't have it when I was younger. I didn't give myself permission to do anything like say I'm going to bring about positive change, or that I never thought I could influence the life of anyone. That came to me a lot later, and when I gave myself permission to do that, that's when the adventures started, because I was able to live the things that I really wanted to do. And I realized that I was connected with people. As much as I love technology and it's a burning interest and passion, it's not about the technology, as I mentioned quite often. It's about the humanity. And for me, that connection with people was so important. So what I'm most proud of is the fact that I gave myself permission to work with friends, to go on adventures, to figure out things along the way, and to find myself in the process, and to prioritize that. I set out a purpose statement for myself, which was one life persists to improve many. And I engraved that on the back of an iPod when I was leaving university. And this helped guide many of the decisions that I made. But realizing that it was an important thing to follow what I believe in is absolutely critical. And I challenge a lot of people to do the same. If they haven't found it yet, keep looking for those inspirations that can help you find what really matters to you, because no one else can tell you what matters to you. So realizing what drives you is incredibly important, and believing in yourself. So that to me is, I would say, is what I'm proud of.
Good. That's fantastic. But I also, I'm not into science fiction at all, like at all. But I still really enjoyed your book.
I'm
Um,
glad. I'm glad I
and,
was able to bring you around to it a bit.
and it's sort of just, it's like while I was reading it, I was thinking, oh my gosh, this stuff's really happening. And it's so much of it is useful and helpful. And um, that I think everyone should read it, because then they'll realize how much there is out there available to us. I would love for more people to read your book, especially people that, like myself, who read fiction and novels and literature and plays. Wouldn't necessarily, if I wasn't working for Saxton, I probably wouldn't have picked up your book. So I'm grateful for that.
And I am too. I am too. It's really nice knowing that my writing was able to traverse those barriers where I wasn't writing it for techie people. It was a book for people who are techie and interested in science and technology, but it was mostly for those who aren't, who are outside of that realm, to bring people into this world and to be able to see what's going on, open up our bubble of possibility, and realize that we can all have a say, whether we are deeply embedded in technology or not. We all have a say, and it's the most important conversations that we need to be having.
Yeah,
But it's also exciting.
Yeah, and what's also really interesting is it's not as scary as you think. Like, it's a story. It's a really well told story about how you discover and continue to discover all this stuff. I just loved the book. I've loved
Thank
talking to you. All these years that I've known you, I thought I knew how to pitch you to clients, and somehow I've managed to be successful at that without actually knowing just how huge your brain is, and everything, every story that's in there. So I should be able to come up with more brilliant ideas now that I've read your book. I always like to close my conversations with writers with reading something from your book, if that's okay. The big thing to realize is that creativity, innovation, and human experience will flourish in these times of AI and automation. So to this age of rising automation, we should remember the wonderful things about being human. Our conscious experience that breathes meaning and appreciation into our world. Without it, this incredible planet, this wondrous night sky full of stars and life itself wouldn't be appreciated at all. These powerful technological tools should only be used to improve our humanity. And that is what we must strive towards. Your brain and your body are an interconnected superhighway. Your mind, a natural built supercomputer. Your life, a near completely impossible reality. Your ability to love, a truly magical gift. And your consciousness, a thing so unique, we don't know of anything like it in the entire universe. And that, my friend, is a beautiful thing.
I always remember that final flow, being able to bring that together, it's just on that. It's a very interesting thing to have the opportunity to write a book, because you learn so much more about yourself as well. And there are certain parts that you want to look into. There's certain parts that take a lot of time to work out. And then there's certain parts that just flow out of you. And I remember every one of those words just coming straight out once I got to the end of the book, just flowing out of me, because it's what I feel and what I believe.
It's great.
Yeah.
Loved it. I'm going to make everyone read it.
Absolutely. I hope everyone who gets a chance to has a read and enjoys it. We've had an incredible readership. The ages have been from 9 to 90 that we know of, and that was something that I wanted to be able to do, to write a book for everyone. Really, that's what's come across. The age has been a lot younger than I was expecting, and at the same time, I've had grandparents reaching out to me saying that they've absolutely loved it and learnt a lot. So it's really wonderful. It's a wonderful way to connect with people and to get on board with those same visions, because everywhere I go, people want to see a better future. So this is a step towards it.
1000%. Thank you, Jordy. Thanks for joining me.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Carol. Nice to be able to chat about it too. And I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.